Hi, Steve Cooper, Rank Success, and opportunity knocks. It's knocking loud and clear across forces at the moment with sergeant's promotion opportunities, vacancies, selection processes ongoing or about to kick off. I've done a previous one for Greater Manchester Police in terms of a briefing for GMP candidates, those aspiring to sergeants in Greater Manchester Police. This one today is about Staffordshire Police and the opportunities that are opening up for promotion in Staffordshire in the next couple of months. And what I've done also is a podcast. It's about an hour, so it's aimed at aspiring constables going for promotion. I know what it's like. I've been there before a long time ago. I deal with lots and lots of individuals in the same position. I've supported hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of you to get there, so I'm always interested in, and I've been called an anorak on a couple of occasions, in the actual processes, in the paperwork, in the tests, because they change. And I've written blogs on the fact that there's a postcode lottery when it comes to promotion selection processes. But today this is about Staffordshire and looking at Staffordshire's process that's imminent now. And the reason I'm doing this quick video now is because, and the podcast, is because there's a fantastic opportunity ahead of the opportunity for you to get yourself ahead of the curve. Your force has already published the process, and I'm holding some of the process paperwork in my hands at the moment. So the assessment centre guidance and the promotion process guidance. And I just wanted to very quickly cover in this video, because I'll cover it more in the podcast, and I'll also do a blog and embed this in the blog. A lot of food for thought for you. Now, there's some fantastic opportunities, and as I allude to often in blogs, you're busy and a promotion process opens up. You may have just taken the exam, you may have taken the exam a couple of years ago, and now this is your first time going for a board. And what people don't do is give themselves enough opportunity, enough time and space to prepare meaningfully and effectively ahead of the process. And so today this is about, ringing the alert, if you like, and bringing your attention to the fact that there's a real opportunity to get ahead of the curve by having a look at this paperwork. Now, one of the first things I say to candidates, particularly where there's a comprehensive amount of information being provided by your force to you, as in the case here with Staffordshire, a lot of people don't bother reading it, and they crash and burn in the process through one means or another, whether it's on word limits, whether it's on the fact they didn't know they should have come in uniform or plain clothes, or they are unaware that the code of ethics applies throughout the whole process. So when they get a red flag, or they make a boo-boo, if you like, and they don't go any further in the process, then it's the time for learning. So now is the time for learning. And what I've done is I've printed this off as any of you can. And if you're listening to this and you're not in Staffordshire, you're not in GMP, you are someone just listening to this out of curiosity for your own learning and discovery, it's a great way of picking up tips and guidance and information about how other forces are assessing their promotion candidates. So where they make it available for you to freely download, print it off. And if you're a candidate, print off your guidance. It doesn't matter about your eco footprint. You don't go for promotion very often, so print it off. Not everybody likes to flick through a screen or a phone. You can't take information in as well when you're flicking through a screen or a phone or a device electronically. Your eyes get tired. So print it off old-fashioned style. Get yourself a pencil, get yourself a highlighter pen and a clean notepad, and start making notes and using that highlighter here, because this is a tremendous amount of early warning, advanced briefing for you as an aspiring promotion candidate. And if you're locked and loaded and you want to smash this process, this is some guidance, some food for thought for you to do. Now, why have I printed it off? Because when you read it, and you read it in detail, you can make notes, you can use a highlighter pen. What you've got here at the first part is the main purpose of the role. There's an elongated kind of description of it, but you can pick up very quickly from it the fact that you can raise questions to yourself. So where they describe that something, for instance, this role will coordinate, so the role of sergeant will coordinate, monitor and respond where necessary to frontline policing activity to uphold the law, enable public safety and build public confidence in policing. You can just put how in front of that. How will you do that? Because it's nice to know it's being laid out there, but doesn't serve any purpose other than briefing you in one dimension. So flip it into a potential board question, and you can do that with all of this information. So the takeaway from this main purpose document that I take is that the job of a sergeant here is to set, communicate and reinforce standards. That's a great nutshell description for a sergeant's role, and the main responsibilities, there's a whole section on your main responsibilities. Try and summarize that yourself, because essentially I've just done that. It's about managing yourself, managing your work and managing your team as a sergeant. So person specification, they've gone into some detail there about what you will be expected to do, the expectations, and they lay it out in little mini paragraphs or bullet points. Flip it, ask yourself, how will you, how have you demonstrated this in this particular kind of aspect or skill? How will you do it in future? Because that's about forward facing, and that's one of the types of questions that you will face. So I quite like that, the way they've laid that out, the person specification, because it allows you to pull up questions and raise potential scenarios as well for briefings out of them. So there's also a kind of indication that they will guide you to, and you can download the College of Policing's competency and values framework, paperwork and graphics, etc. So just a couple of things there around that. There are 4 values in the competency and values framework from the College of Policing, but Staffordshire have different values which are caring, collaborative and accountable. And in the College of Policing document that you've been referred to there are 4 other values, this main CVF values: transparency, impartiality, integrity and public service. So there's 7 values there to consider, plus later on in the document it talks about your own values. So from that you can pick up the fact you need to do some pretty good work ahead of this process about your own values, where your own values mesh with these espoused values in your force. What do you know about them? And do that work. So that's a good kind of pointer that I've picked up. Successful candidates will be invited to the written assessment, and there's a bit of guidance here that candidates should expect this and the interview process to include an interview and assessment designed to explore the competency and values framework for policing, as well as candidate strengths in relation to the job description and person specification set out in this pack. So they're giving you some target kind of areas to focus on there as to how, and they do this through the paperwork, which is why it's very useful for you to start reading through it. Now, as I say, many cops will just go, meh, I'm not going to do that. I am busy, I've got other priorities, and you only ever find out whether that's the approach, the right approach to take at the other end of the process. I would respectfully suggest it isn't, and there's a lot of work you can do now just simply by reading these and taking a highlighter pen to them. If you weren't aware, I've also done a blog in relation to the Chief Constable of Staffordshire. I had the privilege of interviewing Mr. Noble a while back for a podcast. There's also a podcast on ranksuccess.co.uk. It's free. There's free podcasts, free blogs, free YouTube videos like this, full of tips and guidance, and hopefully signposting direction to help you. I know it can be daunting. I know it can be uncertain, a degree of uncertainty going for promotion selection processes. So, you need all the help you can get, and fortunately you can get a load or the best free support at Rank Success. And if you want to go ahead and just hit the ground running, say thanks very much, Steve, I've heard enough of your dulcet brummy tones. You've convinced me. Where do I download a bespoke digital promotion toolkit for Sergeant that covers all these issues you're talking about? How can I just hit the ground running? We can go straight to ranksuccess.co.uk and download a bespoke digital toolkit, which includes a 4-hour promotion masterclass, a CVF explainer video covering all the competencies, along with an interview guide and examples, detailed examples of structured promotion evidence at the level of sergeant to help you when it comes to your written assessments, and when it comes to your interview scenarios and briefings and presentations is all covered there to give you food for thought. So I just wanted to finish by touching on this assessment centre guidance. This is really good for you to get an early briefing ahead of the schedule. It focuses on the fact the whole process is a written assessment, and one of the things you need to notice on there is that it will be assessing your spelling and your grammar. as well as the evidence and the competencies at CVF level 2. And the purpose of the assessment is what you have done. So they're giving you a clue there. That's rear facing. They're going to be looking at what you have done in terms of that, and you'll be needing to present that with spelling and grammar. Now, I'm not going to touch on that too far. I've already done a podcast before about, will whinging, whining, moaning and complaining get you promoted? No, it won't. And yet people insist on spending really valuable time that they could be doing this on by whinging, whining, moaning and complaining about the process. As I've said, different forces do it differently in different across different areas, so you can only go with what you've got to go with, and this lays it out really clear what you're going to be assessed on. The second point is the briefing exercise. What's been assessed, CVF competencies at level 2. How do you prioritise and deal with the issues in the exercises, what you'll be looked at? Well, that's a great question. How will you prioritise the questions and the task and your leadership actions in this this process? Again, if you need help, there's digital toolkits that cover this. And interview. What will be assessed? CVF competencies at level 2, and you will be facing forward-facing and rear-facing questions. Again, I've done blogs on that. It's covered in my digital toolkits. But it's the purpose of the assessment is what you could do and what you have done. So what I would say is there's a whole load of information here for you. Print it off, read it through, work through with a highlighter pen, and pick up lots and lots of issues. I've already picked up a couple of ambiguities in this paperwork, and I'll make them known through other channels. But you know, you can pick them up yourself if you get stuck into it. Okay, I'll try and keep these videos short, certainly shorter than 15 minutes. I'm up to about 11, approaching 12 at the moment. I'll be back with another one. Don't forget there's a podcast, that there will be a blog with this video embedded in it. There's the interview with Chief Constable Mr. Noble, in which he shares his views around promotion, that you can read. So together with the information, now is the time, not next week, because you've got a bit of time now before your registrations need to be put in. Now is the time, today is the day to kick into action and get yourself briefed on all this over a cup of coffee. Sit down, work it out for yourself, and raise the questions for yourself. Okay, well, I'll be back with another video in due course. Until then, take care and stay safe.